and good morning. Happy Traditional Chinese Medicine Tuesday. It's a TCM Tuesday. We're going to be talking about the face today. So just to give a little bit of background on this topic, Chinese face mapping is something that's been around for over 3,000 years, and it basically is tied into the idea that qi or life force or energy flows across and through certain meridians, certain organs, certain channels throughout the body, and depending on where those are flowing, those meridians, it can tell you that, oh, something on, let's say, this meridian associated with the forehead is imbalanced, and that can tell us that other things along that channel are imbalanced as well. So what I'm going to be doing today is just explaining a little bit as to if you're noticing blemishes on your face or acne, any specific issues that may be unexplained, what that can tell you about what's lying underneath. I should also note that if you are noticing blemishes, lines, wrinkles, acne, etc. in specific areas, it is not necessarily because there is something inherently off on these channels. This is just another tool for you to look at if it's something that you've noticed chronically or something that has recently started and you don't understand why. This is just another approach that you can take, but it's definitely possible that there are other causes to your acne as well that aren't necessarily related to what's going on with your organs. I do have another video posted as well on acne, so be sure to check that one out if you want to dive into other possible causes, but today I'm just going specifically into the Chinese face mapping. Okay, let's get into it. So I'm going to start from the top and work my way down the face. So the first place we can look at is the forehead. There's two primary things that might be at play in the forehead. If you're looking more like central, like the central areas of the forehead, that's typically going to be associated with the small intestines. And then as we get a little bit closer to the hairline, as we go out on the forehead, we're looking at issues that might be more closely tied to the bladder. So a lot of conditions with things like irritable bowel syndrome or other issues that may be prevalent in the small intestines can show up in this area either as like lines or breakouts. As we move down from the forehead, we can look at the spot between the eyes as well as the temples. Now the temples are kind of, they could be a two-in-one. So they could be an extension of what's going on up here. So they could have relation to the kidneys as well as the bladder, but these on your temples can also be related to the liver as well. So if you're having a lot of issues here, either with like wrinkles or acne or whatever it may be, you could look at, if your body is having issues with medications, if your body is having any infections or inflammation specifically in those organs, that might be something to look at. In between the eyes, when we look here, this one is all liver, baby. Typically speaking, if you have a lot of acne building up kind of between the eyebrows, this could be a signal to you that maybe your body needs to detoxify or it's really struggling with detoxification, which is what the liver is primarily responsible for. This could also imply a need to detoxify from negative emotions, so make sure that you are keeping that in mind as well. As we move down and out on the face, we are looking at the under eye area, which is a huge place that so many people have so much concern because they're looking at bags under the eyes, puffiness. Honestly, I think this is one of the most focused on areas that a lot of people, especially with aging, are really focused on. We all know that bags under your eyes is something that happens when you are not sleeping enough. That is very common knowledge. You're not getting enough rest, you're gonna have bags under your eyes. There is also another implication that this area can have. So underneath the eyes can be tied to kidney, liver, and intestines. There is a lot that can influence what's going on directly in this area. And again, this doesn't just mean acne. This could be other things as noted, like bags under the eyes. So we've already noted lack of sleep. We know that that can cause bags under the eyes. Issues in these areas can also be caused by dehydration because the fluid balance of your body tends to show up here. So puffiness around the eyes, dark circles, bags under the eyes, these can all be an indicator that maybe you are dehydrated or your body is retaining excess water and your fluid balance is off. So maybe you need more electrolytes and that you have too much water hanging out outside of the cell and not enough inside of the cell proportionately. So as we move back in towards the center of the face, we can analyze the nose. The nose is most closely associated with your heart. And I think this one is super cool because the left side of your nose tends to talk more about the left side of your heart, and the right side of your nose tends to talk more about the right side of your heart. So if you notice you always get acne on one specific side, that could be potentially very telling for you. Knowing that the nose is related to the heart, it's also tied to things like your blood pressure and your cholesterol levels. So if you notice that you have a lot of blackheads in this area, that could also be indicative of either buildup or blockages, other types of things that might be going on as it pertains to the heart. If you have issues with poor circulation, as well as if you have issues with cholesterol, stagnation specifically as it pertains to constipation or bloating, indigestion, or excessive salt intake, these could all possibly be relating to the heart as well. So if you're noticing that you tend to have acne on your nose. Make sure that you're paying attention to what's going on with your heart. This could be emotional, this could be physical, whatever it is, that's definitely a good place to start. Moving down and out, looking at the cheeks, there is a lot that could possibly be going on here, specifically if you're looking at very micro regions of the cheeks. So there are some conflicting things that I've seen out there, and I'm just going to present all of the information that I have seen that's consistent with my experiences. So cheeks in general, we're looking at things that might be related to liver or lungs or the stomach. So again, depending on where you are, left side versus right side of the face, how high or low it could be tied to any one of these things. What I've seen most consistently is that typically if you're looking at the right side of the face, you're going to be looking at things that might be telling you a little bit more about your lungs or your respiratory system, whereas if you're looking at the left side of your face, it might be saying more about your liver or your detoxification systems. Again, there could definitely be overlap here. That's just a general consensus of what I've seen through a couple of different sources. What both of these say though is something as it pertains to the intake of substance, whether that is intake of air or intake of food or intake of nutrients, digestion, absorption, something in the way of receiving nutrients and then transmitting those throughout the body and then eliminating what's no longer needed. Something in that specific process may be in need of attention. And I know that's very generalized, but that's where I say definitely make yourself your own research, and it might give you some tips as to where to start and what to be looking at. And finally, as we move down the face and we look at things that are surrounding the mouth and the chin, this is where we start seeing a little bit more as it pertains to hormones and reproductive function. If you have really significant or severe hormonal imbalances, those may show up in these areas. And this is something that I personally have experienced in my own life on multiple occasions when my hormones are crazy out of whack. When I first started birth control and when I first went off of it and my body was trying to figure out like adjusting to this, I did notice a lot more acne in these areas, especially on the chin. The chin tells you a lot about the hormones, and then the space above your lips can tell you a little bit about hormones as well as about the heart. So the upper lip can kind of tell us about both things. But as you start going down the face, like the closer you get to the chin, the more you're gonna find that this is really directly tied to organs and reproduction. So as you go down the face, you're gonna find that this area tends to be more closely tied to the organs that are actually lower on the body. And I think that's a really interesting thing to note about face mapping in general, is that it seems like the center of the face, like as we start from like the nose, this is what's associated with the top of the body, so to speak. Like the organs at the top of the body are being shown kind of here towards the center of the face. As we go up, like towards the forehead, or as we go down towards the chin, we are progressively moving down the body in terms of what organs might be affected. So again, kidneys, reproductive organs, everything that kind of sits lower on the human body is going to be showing up probably a little bit more in the lower areas like the chin or the upper areas like the forehead. And then, you know, as we get closer to the center of the face, we have like the liver, we're going up a little bit. And as we slowly approach the nose, we're going up towards the heart. So as we get to the heart center, that is sort of going to be more represented in the center of the face, so to speak. Again, these are not hard and fast rules, just an interesting thing that I sort of like to tie together and present to you as a gift if you would like to take it, that your face is telling you about things that may be going on in your body, and the ways that it's represented is very important to pay attention to. If you keep ignoring what it's trying to tell you, and the issue is not resolved, it will probably keep trying to tell you the same thing. So make sure that you're listening, paying attention to that. If you are noticing that you are having blemishes, acne, lines, wrinkles, etc., that are out of the ordinary, that are surfacing below the chin, kind of like the neck area, that's definitely grounds for looking into your thyroid specifically. If your thyroid is not firing properly, maybe it's malnourished, maybe you're just hypo or hyperthyroid, definitely something that you could keep in mind if you've noticed that you have pervasive acne kind of below the chin. And last but not least, I know this isn't really the face, so to speak, but if we're looking at the ears, this is also something to keep in mind that might be really closely tied to the kidneys and your regulation of water, and can also be indicative of poor lymphatic circulation. So any issues as it pertains to fluids, whether that's lymphatic circulation or hydration, those could also be presented in the ears. As noted, if you have specific interest in the acne component, please make sure that you check out the other video that I mentioned. I will link it below as well. Hopefully this concept is helpful to at least some of you in identifying maybe some issues that are presenting themselves in multiple ways throughout your body, and they're showing up in your face, and maybe you made a connection that you hadn't made before about what it's telling you. Either way, I really appreciate your time. If you haven't already, make sure that you follow me on YouTube and Instagram at Alexa B Health Coach. I am posting different resources on both as it pertains to different things. So depending on what you're looking for in terms of health, spirituality, wellness, etc., make sure that you check out both of those channels and explore whatever is calling to you the most. You guys have a beautiful day. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.